This is the Infection Podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, April 13th, 2021, episode 326. You know, we were so busy before the show doing all of the prep, we didn't update the title on the show notes. That was almost a huge slip-up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Gab at Nick. You can check out my brand new website. I know, lots of things. NickCraig.com. There'll be information on there about my new endeavor into the world of broadcast media, and we'll have some links and whatnot up there in the next couple of weeks. That's NickCraig.com. And of course, our website is infectionpodcast.com. A little bit of a different program this evening, but we're here, and of course, Brian is still here as well. Brian, where can people find you on online? Hello.
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Gab or Parler, or if you go to my blog, you can go to biteoftech.com. But of course, if you go to our website, as Nick mentioned, infectionpodcast.com, go to the right-hand side, join our server on Discord, because if you can do that, you can jump in and submit news topics. You can hang out, play some games. We got 8 ARC servers, I think, at the moment. We have a Valheim server. We got all kinds of things going on. So if you're interested in that, join the Discord server. It's free. Hopefully owned by Microsoft soon. We'll see. Then you got your Steam group if you want to get notifications before the live show starts. We do a little notification 5-10 minutes before we go live. So you happen to be at your computer, a little pop-up will open if you have Steam open and remind you to join us live. Then we have our video forms of the podcast, and maybe you want to watch not while we're live, watch on your own, or you can watch live with these ones. And you can go to Twitch, to YouTube, DLive, and BitChute. And then if you're looking for the audio-only forms, those are the lower right-hand side. And we've got a lot of different ways to do that. There's mobile apps, web-based apps. There's all kinds of things you can use those links to be able to listen to our podcast with. And so if you're interested in that and you still want to maybe watch some videos and things, jump to our show notes. Jump on the particular episode that we're going to be talking. And today we're going to have a lot of videos today to show. So if you're listening to this, I really encourage you, if you're not going to go to YouTube or not going to go to one of our video streams, jump into our website, jump to this episode, and then click on the video links as you're listening, because that'll make a big difference, and you can see what we're discussing and see the things that we're talking about. And we've got a built-in video player, audio player in there, and it's really easy to use. If you want to support us, you can do that through either the support tab up top. We have a link there, or you can go to infectionpodcast.com/support. And different ways you can do that. We have our Subscribe Star, and you see Nick here, he added our Subscribe Star link on the website. We also have, if you go to amazon.infectionpodcast.com or humble.infectionpodcast.com, or through Prime Gaming subs, as you'll hear through the broadcast. But a lot of different ways you can help support us, and then hopefully we'll have a PAX and things like that we can actually go to and spend some of the money.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We've got a small fortune of money over. It's been almost 2 years since we've touched any of it. So the subscribers and everything have been slowly adding up, which is good. It'll make our next event, hopefully, which is PAX West this year, a success. So thanks everybody for that. I do want to thank our friend Donnie Grimes, also known as he's gone by many names. Donnie PC Donnie, he's been by all these names, but currently at Donnie Grimes on Twitch, was also the illustrious moderator for one of those crazy Discord servers of those asset flip games, and then quickly resigned. So thank you, Donnie. It is greatly appreciated. All right, bit of a different show, Brian.
Yes,
we've made an executive decision with some of the ongoings in your life. In my life, we are making a change to the program. We will still be here live every Tuesday night, but we are drastically changing the format of the show. We are cutting out, I guess I'm going to say the filler, which tends to be this game updated this, that, and that. They added admin commands for, gray opaque box _3. It's just reading through patch notes that frankly,
and a lot of them has
about.
changed over time too. Some of the games that when we talked about them, they're actually putting content in every week, and now they're to maintenance and bug fixes. And it's like every week we changed the this stat from 10% to 15%. Okay, that's great, but really that doesn't help us. So.
Yeah, and this has been an ongoing thing. I think for the past year or so, we've kind of been on cruise control, Brian, just because it was familiar and convenient. But we're making a change. So the show now, going forward, this week is a little bit of an anomaly. But the show going forward is going to cover updates only, real updates, and new games, things of that nature. The days of looking at a Last Oasis patch and just scouring through nonsense in there is just it's over. It's just it's mundane, it's boring, and frankly, we can tell based on the interaction during those parts of the show, Brian, they're non-existent. There's nobody in the chat talking. And frankly, we just don't want to do it anymore. So the show,
and our first hour, I think, is the best hour of our show, yes. Anyways. So we're aiming to kind of, because that's something we changed too. I mean, a couple of years ago, because we didn't do those kind of. We had some things where we talk about H1Z1 and things like that, but we didn't have that kind of intro where we would just discuss a topic. And that's something that you and I added at some point, and I think that's become the most popular part of it.
Yeah, and PH brings up a good point. You cover games that nobody plays, absolutely, and that because it's a survival game, we've just had it in our list of things to keep up to date on. And frankly, that's been a terrible format. We should have probably done this a year ago, but better late than never. So the show's going to be probably an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, cutting out the nonsense. We're cutting out current players in its current form. Instead, we'll be doing current players baked into the game if it's relevant, if they've done an update and we want to see how many people are playing it. And then a tip of the week is no longer going to be in its current form either. There might be tips, again, same thing, baked into a specific part of the show when we're talking about a game or an update. So I know Green Man and PH are
I'm sorry.
are shocked with the change. Whoa! Oh my God! I don't know what's going on there.
The button somewhere.
So
was that the outro or is that the tip of the week?
That was the tip of the week. That was the tip of the week. Okay. So a little bit of a change. Hopefully, it'll keep the show a little bit lighter, and for people, it'll make it just, I don't know. It'll be less boring and drag on a little bit less. So with that being the case, Brian, let's we're about 8 minutes into the show. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the news of the week. And of course, it wouldn't be, lots of things have changed, obviously. We've turned everybody's world upside down. But it wouldn't be an episode of Infection, the survival podcast, without talking about Epic Games. And their ongoing
our sponsor.
Our sponsor. By the way, this was their decision, not ours. So they are they're obviously in a huge legal battle right now with Apple, and with that there's been a whole bunch of stuff that has been released on both sides during discovery, which is where essentially the lawyers get to or the attorneys rather just get to dig into everybody's business. Essentially, you literally get to peel back and look at everything. So new court filings have shown that Epic Games and the Epic Games Store, according to filings found, that they lost around $181 million in 2019 and $273 million in 2020. So almost running at almost a $300 million deficit last year. Now, this is a big business. They have very good accountants. They did not lose $300 million. That's what their books show that they lost. Tim Sweeney is one of the most wealthy in that field all across the world. So this idea that Epic is failing is stupid, because they're not. But this is what big corporations do.
And I think a lot of this is going to be down to the giveaways that they do, first of all, because they still, I think they give money still to the developers for these giveaways, big chunks of money. And so when they do these giveaways every week, and like next week, they're doing 3 games at the same time. So they're constantly throwing games out there. I think at the beginning of this, I think this is one of the things I said that they were going to have to do. They're going to have to make people's libraries so big to where it actually competes, because people have a hard time leaving Steam because their libraries. I mean, I can speak to this because I have a very large Steam library. It's very hard to yes, one of the biggest. It's hard to leave that and then move over to another platform where you have no games. And I think that they're playing the long game here. And they, according to this, they expect to turn a profit in 2023, which, if they're playing the long game, that's not that far away. And that's going to be it's going to be a big thing next year, because 181 million this year, or last year, 273 in 2020. And then we'll have to see, is 2021 going to be 300 something, or is it actually going to start going down? I would assume they're losing more because there's more people getting free games, which means there's more people on the service claiming them.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the one thing I want to note here. And I don't know any, and this is pure speculation, which you've come to know and love on this program. That's not going anywhere. If I had to guess, when they give away a quote $30 game, they are not giving $30 to the developer. They are cutting a deal with the developer or the publisher for X amount of dollars per redeemed copy. It is a heavily discounted rate. I would assume. I don't know this to be sure, but if I was a gambling man, I would assume that's how it's working. So let's say
they pay them a flat rate in the beginning, possibly.
That's possible as well. So let's just go simple. $30 title, they give the developer $10 for every copy, which is still a lot of money. They're writing off $30. So for everybody that claims the game, Epic is saying, well, that was $30 that it cost us. $30, $30, $30,
it's like $30 loss. If they would have purchased it, we'd have made $30. We didn't make that $30 that they're claiming.
That's why this $300 million is definitely the Epic Games Store, but it's a bit misleading, because when they give away a $60 title, let's say that they're getting it at some sort of wholesale rate, or they say, hey, we're going to give you $100,000, whatever it may be, $50,000 to give away our game exclusively for a weekend. 60, 60, 60, 60, write-off, loss. You add that up. Oh my God, we lost, we lost $700,000 on giving away this game. They didn't lose $700,000. They spent $50,000 to get this game into people's libraries. But from a corporate underwriting and a corporate financial standpoint, that is in fact a loss. So Epic is not paying any federal income tax, would be my guess. In North Carolina, I'm not exactly sure what the tax laws are at this rate. They're probably paying next to zero in North Carolina state tax, because their losses are $300 million. This is a smart business thing that every large business does. Most businesses are not profitable on books. That's just the name of the game. You get to keep more of your money. And it's obviously not illegal, because the IRS would audit them. But that's the long and the short of it. So let's cut the BS out of it, right? Let's cut this finagling of the finances out of it. I'm not surprised that Epic Game Store is losing money. Epic is making a boatload, but Epic Game Store is probably losing their ass, and rightfully so. It's a brand new platform.
Yes. And that's something that, it's all kind of going around this legal case, that they've been doing. Because now it's getting back and forth with Apple, and it's getting back and forth with Epic as far as, what is Epic worth? I mean, that's where a lot of this came out, is because Apple keeps pushing, trying to figure out, how competitive Epic really is.
Yeah.
And
how far down the legal rabbit hole do they want to? How big are Epic's pockets, and how big are their coffers?
Well, what's something that's interesting is this past week they've jumped in now into Apple iMessage. And they've brought that into the legal. They've brought that into the legal argument, and I thought that was kind of interesting, because Apple's argument is that they have an assertion of having no competition is false, because the case should take into account the broader video game market, is what they're saying, which means Apple is in direct competition with Nintendo and Microsoft, is what they claim. Incidentally, this means that Apple customers have ways of purchasing virtual tokens from devs on other platforms such as Windows PC, and using those tokens on iPhone, therefore circumventing the Apple tax. And that's the heart of Epic's argument that they're trying to bring. And so they filed a brief, Epic has, with testimony from Apple execs regarding their iPhone iMessenger app. And they say that iMessage could also have an Android version of the app to let users on both platforms, use it between each other. But plans were shot down by these execs. because they said it would simply serve to remove an obstacle to iPhone's families giving their kids Android phones. And that was their direct statement from Apple,
Well, they're
saying that
right.
they were doing this because they didn't want people getting, which is directly anti-competitive. I mean, as far as whether or not it's legal or whether or not there's anything that's going to come from
legal.
This type of a case.
It is anti-competitive, and it is the reason why I will never not have an iPhone, Brian. I am entrenched in the iMessage ecosystem.
In the iMessage,
the group chats, the games in the chats, the all of the stuff that's involved in that. I'm entrenched in it. Apple has absolutely got me by the balls, and I'm not willing to sacrifice to change to Android. They absolutely have got me by the balls. There's no question. My phones for foreseeable future until there's some massive change here will be an iPhone almost explicitly because of iMessage. And I lose FaceTime and all of the abilities that are associated with that. And that I don't really have an issue with, because that's their platform. I mean, that doesn't
And
bother
that's what they're trying to push, is that this is all pushing towards the Apple is a monopoly.
Which you could make the argument.
I would say that's true, because they lock people into iMessage, they lock people into their platforms, and they don't give them ways to work with other platforms. And their iPhone is that they lock down their store to where you can't have another store unless you're breaking the terms of service and breaking of your iPhone itself. iMessage, they don't create alternate versions for very many of their. I mean, iTunes they have on other things that you can plug your iPhone into your computer. But they don't have very many other methods for you to use a lot of their applications other than getting a Mac. And it used to be, if you did development on a Mac, like if you wanted to make iPhone apps, you had to actually compile it on a iMac.
You still do
on a Mac device. Do they still lock you into that?
Yeah,
which I thought was ridiculous.
Yeah, you have to build an app on iOS. You need to build it in either Swift or Xcode. And you do have to, at least last time I checked, you do have to compile it on an OS X device.
Which is just crazy, because it's not a physical limitation or a technical limitation.
No.
It is them just saying, we want people to use our products. We don't want to allow people to use it. And Microsoft has gone the total opposite direction. If you look at the two companies, which were parallel for a long period of time, they went the totally opposite direction and have gone just on, let's provide services to people and quit with this. Apple's still kind of keeping down that line. So they're going to be having, the court case is going to be kind of moving forward, because they're getting ready in May to move on to their third bench trial. So there's a few weeks that we may see a couple more details come up, but they're actually going to the bench trial, and we'll see where this thing goes. It'll be interesting to see who wins in the end, because I think it's kind of a toss-up, and it'll be probably based on some weird little niche thing in the whole case that I think will probably turn it.
I think Apple's really the only one here that can really lose a lot. What's the worst thing that happens to Epic? The court goes, actually, Apple can do whatever they want on their platform. You have to follow the rules or get out. Epic would be in the exact same situation that they're in now. If it goes the other way, in a court or a jury decides, hey, this Apple company they're kind of acting like a monopoly. I mean, it could, I don't know if people have followed it, but there's a great documentary about the day after the AT&T breakup, and it's insane. The government essentially said you can no longer operate your business and broke the company into pieces. And there's I think they're actually internal AT&T videos that were made about it, and it was a freaking madhouse. You operate under a set of standards one day, and the next day you're told by the federal government you can't operate that way. It's crazy to watch. That could happen with Apple. It won't, but it's possible. And that's so. Apple really is the only one that stands to lose anything. I mean, what's the word? Epic at this point is just going to lose money. That's it.
So the problem is, Epic, if they lose this case, they just revert back to what they were doing before.
Yeah.
If Apple loses this case, it changes not only Epic's stance, how they have to deal with Epic. It's going to change how they have to deal with every single developer going down the road with their store and their credit card transactions and everything. And it probably will have more effects on other areas, because they can use that as precedence to be able to start pushing other things down Apple's throat. So PH says, there's no way Apple will lose it. We'll see. I mean, you never know. You get weird opinions from judges where you're like, I don't see it that way, but they're probably basing it on some little legal loophole that they say, hey, here's what the law says here. We're going to do this. My dad, who's a lawyer, always said the law is not fair. Because I would say that's not fair, Dad. He'd say the law is not fair, and that's just the way it is.
Damn, words of wisdom from
Yep.
Mr. I call him Brian Aldridge Senior, as if you were as if that is his name as well. But that's yeah, I mean that's a very true claim, and I'm sure our friend Mr. Saul Grayman would also agree with that statement as well. So yeah, that's epic. It's been this Discovery has been very interesting to watch. Discovery's if you talk to any attorney or lawyer, they will always say how much fun Discovery is because you have the golden key to the castle. You can look at pretty much anything in Discovery. And that's why a lot of people don't like when things go into Discovery, because you get to overturn rocks and look at the whole inner workings of the machine. So, been very interesting to watch, and we'll continue to watch that play out. And I don't know. I mean, I guess at this point we could have a ruling by the summer, fall.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it wrapped up. Yeah, I'd like to see it wrapped up, and so that whatever is going to come from this will happen. Because I think if they did lose, I think if Apple lost, I think there would be a lot of benefits for other developers. You know, as far as, and it maybe in the end would roll back and affect Steam, because Steam has the exact same 30%. It'd be interesting, because if it did happen, I think it would have a waterfall ripple effect happening down, that we would start to see it affect other businesses, and Steam is the big one that we talk about a lot.
Exactly. So, and right. Obviously, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, go ahead. we're delayed a little bit. You got this. I'm pointing to you. I'm
a gentleman. After you.
Well, I was going to roll into the next topic. So if you got something to say about this,
I don't care at this point. It's gone.
Okay.
Let's keep moving.
Speaking of legal issues, we've been kind of talking about Chronicles of Elyria. So I just thought I'd give a little update. First of all, Chronicles of Elyria, they're up to 5 devs. They now have 5 developers again. And so they're making progress on it. This will be interesting to see if this is something that actually turns around, because we've written this off as this company is done for. It looks like they're going to be releasing what is it? KOE or Kingdoms of Elyria, if I remember correctly. Yes. Yeah, Kingdoms of Elyria, which is going to be that kind of land claiming thing that we showed a little while ago. Oh yeah, and PH is pointing out there was a funding. I didn't put it in the show notes, but Epic just got a lot of funding, and I think Sony gave them $1 billion, is what that article he's linking to. So they're still bringing in plenty of money. Of course, a lot of that doesn't have to do necessarily with the Epic Game Store. A lot of that has to do possibly with the Unreal Engine and a lot of the other things that Epic is involved in, because they do even film, the new Star Wars shows, all of that. A lot of that's done in Unreal, so there's a lot of money funneling into them.
Yes, sir.
So Chronicles of Elyria, they put out a blog post kind of just outlining some of the what they call their Kingdom of Elyria Milestone 1
this website
retrospective.
Is awful.
Yeah. It looks like he handmade. Of course, he made his own engine.
Make it in Dreamweaver?
He probably hadn't made it, but he probably wrote the code to actually have it his own platform.
Let's see. Let's view the page.
Oh, they have it. So have you ever seen? There's the thing called BuiltWith.
Yeah, I've used BuiltWith.
BuiltWith.com. I'm going to throw that in there really quick and just see, because if it says that it's like unrecognizable,
it's not Dreamweaver. Better than nickcraig.com. Hey. Everybody needs to leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It looks like
I didn't mean to derail the show. I just needed to point out how awful this website looks. My website's a freaking. Hold on a second. Hold on. My website is just a freaking picture. It was better than a freaking 40, whatever the DNS error is. It's just a picture. Leave me alone. NickCraig.com. Jesus Christ.
So anyways, yeah, he's going through. There's a lot of information in here. Well, first of all, they mentioned that they had the 5 people, including himself, so 4 other developers, and they brought back a lot of the former developers. So it's not like he got new people, which is a good sign, because that means that he didn't piss them off enough to where they're not willing to come back.
I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, I'm saying that shows you maybe a little bit of the internals. You would figure if he was really just a jerk and a guy who's just trying to screw people over, the internal people would be like, I'm out of here. Like, this isn't working. This guy, I mean, he must fully believe in what he's doing and just made some really poor decisions. But there's some really good information. I don't want to go into too deep. I'm not going to go into all the notes because this game, who knows if it's actually going to come to be. But if you are interested, he goes through details on assisting in the game, KOEs, deaths, just a lot of the mechanics of how Kingdoms of Elyria is going to work. So we'll have that in the show notes. Feel free to go and check it out yourself, but it is there.
All right. Let's talk about a couple of new games. We had a field day on the program last week with a new game development studio that is headed by Dean Hall. Or I think we talked about this last week. Maybe we didn't.
No, we were going to, but we didn't get to it. This is the one that we put off till till this week because we didn't get to it.
So Dean Hall, the DayZ guy, has got a new game studio that he's working on with one of the big DayZ modders, Rocket. This guy did so much for the game back in the I'd call it 2011 to 2013 timeframe. And there is a new game that is going to be coming out. It was announced last year at E3, I believe. Maybe not at E3. It was at the whatever PC Gamer event they do. And it is called Icarus. Which is kind of interesting because obviously isn't there a popular NES game? No, that's Binding of Isaac, not Binding of Icarus.
No, there's
I was thinking of Binding of Isaac, which this is not. But there is
Icarus is based from Greek mythology.
Yes.
So I think it's the son of the master craftsman Daedalus. So who created the labyrinth back in mythology. So that's who we're
I'm sorry. Kid, I'm thinking of Kid Icarus. I am right. There is an NES game, which was a very popular game back on the NES. So let's take a look. So there's a couple different videos here, Brian.
Yes.
Which one do we want to? I guess we want to play the trailer, right? That's the
do the official trailer here because that's a minute 15.
Okay.
It's not very long. The next one is more of a live action video. It's a little bit longer, and so we'll look at that one, but maybe just show little pieces of it.
All right, let's take a look. Ooh, little.
As you can see, very big world.
Yes. All right. So Icarus, obviously based on the video, it is going to be a space-based game on some sort of planet that appears not to be Earth. So the game is, as we know right now, it's supposedly going to be free to play, which is interesting. Not a normal thing for BR game, yes. Survival game, which is what this is. This does not appear to be any sort of BR. This just appears to be real survival. I'm trying to think, Brian. I don't know.
Very different than their previous. It's very different than his previous ones as well. Yeah, most don't do small microtransactions, and so that's kind of what keeps those things going. And no survival game has really mastered microtransactions to keep them alive, because people, for some reason, survival games don't care as much about skins and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see, in PH pointing out, it's a survival game with a time limit. You kind of got that from there where, he was running out of oxygen, so he had to go, he had to get back. So it's like, you're going out for a period of time, doing as much as you can, and then you got to get back within a certain period of time. Interesting concept. Whether or not it will stay free to play or they'll have to come up with some other method for paying for it will be interesting. I was looking at the live action video that I would encourage people to go watch their own, because it's like 7 minutes of a lot of people talking, not showing any real gameplay video, but telling some story that probably is going to be implemented into the end game. But there is some gameplay that they streamed here this past week that is pretty good that we could check out. And there's talking and things over it, but I would suggest let's just kind of jump through some of the videos so you can see some of the different areas. And I'm mainly interested in how big is the world, because if are you going to different planets? How many maps are there going to be? Because if you look at a game like Elite Dangerous, sure, they got a lot of planets, but there's not a lot of detail. If they're going to have a lot of planets, is it going to be where there's a lot of locations, or are you going back to the same location? This will be interesting to see what they've actually done. But this is a live gameplay stream they did with Dean Hall, Brian Hicks, and Lori.
It's that first moment in Minecraft when you're, bashing.
So this is the beginning of the game.
And I think the whole foundation of our project was to focus on those core first mechanics. So we've really iterated and continuing to iterate on all the basics.
A little jumpy, I would say.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what was causing that. It could be a technical difficulty from them doing live stream, but I was wondering if the game was actually doing that.
Shrubs you can harvest, flowers, and all the flora out there.
PH says True Daisy experience.
Well, I mean, we've been working with a great concept team who, many of them came from Grundy.
So you can see at the top, look at there's the mission timers. They have 16 minutes and 50 seconds to complete the mission.
And this is
sorry, is that 1 day? Sorry, there's a one.
Yes.
So it's what, 1 day, and then it's down to 60 minutes. So you pretty much at this point probably have 24 hours, a little over 24 hours in game time. It looks like it's counting down in real time. So that seems like a long time. I assume this time stops. These aren't dedicated servers or something. I think it is co-op. But this will be interesting to see how much that time actually feels. Does it go by quick, or is this something that you feel like you have your time to take?
It is co-op. And by the way, that's when the mission ends. So that's when you actually leave the planet and go back to your space station. That's pretty much the only way that you can really die in this game, is by missing your flight. Now, you obviously can run out of oxygen, and you can be killed by a creature, but you can be revived from those positions. The only thing you really don't have any solution for is missing the plane, for lack of a better term. Missing a plane off the planet. You can see the building system looks to be very modular. Similar to a lot of other survival games where you have this green or blue outline of what you're going to build, and then you kind of build around that. We've seen that very popularized. Here's their tech tree, their skill tree. Again, very common for games. You look at Rust, you look at Ark. Brian,
it's made in Unreal Engine. They didn't make it in the old Daisy engine, which is very good.
Something, Brian, this kind of seems like maybe what we all thought No Man's Sky was going to be, no?
Yeah, people were thinking it was going to be kind of a lush environment, and I don't know how much of this, if there's any kind of procedural stuff that they're doing, because it could be there's a lot of procedural stuff, or it could be these are preset. That'll be interesting to see. But I think this is more of going out and venturing, finding new things. I think people would have been very happy if No Man's Sky even resembled this at all.
This seems like a survival space game. Now, obviously, you're not spending your time on space, but that is kind of the premise behind it. Head Neophyte says,
do you think people are going to like having time limits on their survival? Because one thing about survival is you can generally, it's like open-ended. And that's something that's kind of there's positive and there's negative to that. For people who don't have a lot of time, the open-endedness is kind of a pain. And we've talked about, it'd be nice if there was a limit to some of this. They're trying it. I think they're kind of reinventing that genre.
I would like that personally. At least I think I would. I don't know that I have ever played a game like that. But this looks promising, Brian. It really does. I mean, we went through about a year and a half of almost no new anything in the survival industry. No new talks of anything. You got little, crumbs here and there of games and projects. And I don't know what it's been the past. Maybe it's been COVID and people have just had so much free time. They're like, hey, we need to get back to this open world survival. And that's what this is.
And I think Valheim is going to huge piece of this too, because all of a sudden everybody's talking about all this open world stuff and survival because of Valheim. And it's not even really multiplayer so much, but people are remembering that they like that survival aspect. Maybe they don't like the big, long, drawn-out things of the online, and you always have to log in and check to make sure your base is still there and all this. People just want a survival game that they can jump in, play, have a challenge, and move on.
So the game is already on Steam. You can add it to your wish list. It's called Icarus, Icarus. You can go in there. It's not. There's no date on it yet. We don't have any of that details, but you can add it to your wish list, which is pretty cool. So.
And one thing too, just kind of looking at, I was looking at, look at those various screenshots on there. Very differing environments. I mean, going from snow to a mountain type of landscape. There was some, there's probably, I assume there's something there. Two over is a little more deserty. So it looks like they have a wide variety of landscapes. So it should be a pretty large map because you don't transition very easily between all of those biomes in a very small map. Yeah,
and obviously,
look at that. They got sand dunes. I mean, it's got to be huge.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's a whole bunch. I may be a whole bunch of different planets, which I assume is
the goal. Which I would like that. I would like that. If they're going to do this, make it to where you have a bunch of maps. To where you only have so much time to actually explore that area, and then you're moving on to where you never quite get bored with seeing the same place.
So this looks promising. It's up to 8 players co-op, or you can play by yourself, which is always an option in most of these games. So maybe a bit of a mix between what was the zombie game that was 4-player co-op?
Left 4 Dead?
No, the one with the plane crash.
I don't remember the name of it, but yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. The Forest.
I know that. The Forest, a bit of a mix of the Forest and kind of a mix of the Forest and another and a game like Rust or Ark, where it's significantly more open world. So yeah, cool stuff.
All right, so we've got actually a lot of survival games here. So let's go ahead and let's talk about another one. There's this one I hadn't heard too much about. It's from Tencent, from PUBG developers and another game, but it's called Undawn. There's a website for this.
Yeah, play the trailer for this.
It's a Chinese one, yeah. So if you want to play the trailer for it and kind of get an idea, there's some video also of gameplay, but it's in another language. So we played this trailer 2 weeks ago. We played this trailer on the 30th and showed you a little bit of it, but since then, they've released. Now we have actually more information.
Yeah, so they've released a essentially like a point of interest little thing where it flies around different parts of the map and shows off the point of interest. It's only about a minute long, so let's take a look at that. This is Undawn. So there's a windmill point, a crash site, which is like a plane in the water, a glacier fall, some sort of what kind of looks like Horseshoe Bend, what they're calling the ground station. Accident site, looks like a road with some roadblocks in it. Air Force Base with some helipads. I assume a port, like a dam. That's pretty cool.
Oh, dam, yeah. A little bit better than the old H1Z1 dam.
Yeah, with no water. What they're calling the mysterious waters looks like some sort of boat wreckage or something.
This is the one where was this where the sharks chase you? Oh, here we go.
So that is Undawn. The gameplay.
No, that was a lot of like pre-structured,
yes,
cut scenes of things, and we also have some gameplay of it, which is really what tells you what it looks like. Because those cut scenes you just never know.
So this is a mobile game, realistically. It will have a PC version, but it is a mobile game. Yeah. So what are we thinking about that, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, it's definitely the resolution of it's a good resolution for a mobile game because mobile devices are getting fairly competent to be able to run some of this. I just don't see the longevity of it. I mean, maybe you got to think this is not a game that's made for the United States so much. Because we've looked at the numbers before. Over in Asia, They have a much higher mobile gaming population, and not mobile gaming in the way that we do here in America, to where, you know, people just have games they also play on their phones. There's people that their primary method of gaming is mobile, just because of things happening in their country. And so I think this makes a lot more sense for Asia. I don't know that, you know, the American version of this will have that much play. I mean, you'll get some people who play it, but there's a lot of competition here, and just people don't tend to sit and play these kind of games a ton on mobile.
But it will also be on the PC. That's one thing to note with this, is there will be a PC version. So
as long as they put out a higher quality resolution version for the PC, then that could be much better.
And I'm sure
this could be the scaled down version, and they probably already have a version that's made for the PC, you know, with high resolution.
And I can't imagine that they would just release this on PC. I mean, this would be atrocious. The one nice thing about using Unreal, though, Brian, as you know, it's not that hard it's relatively easy to have two different branches of the game on two different platforms. Obviously, there's lots of work still involved. Don't let me fool you, but it's relatively simple. I would agree, for a mobile game, which is what this is. You can see based on the bottom left-hand corner, this is being recorded on a phone. This looks great for a phone game. I mean, this looks better than some of this looks better than H1Z1. I mean, realistically,
it is better than H1Z1. But that's the thing, is they kind of started pushing this with PUBG, the mobile game. That was one of the first ones where we saw, wow, they're actually doing a full PC game equivalent on a mobile. And then, you know, the Call of Duty came out with theirs. I think it's starting to break out. I don't know that it's people are going to consider it so much mobile gaming, but perhaps, you know, you'll put on some sort of headset and, you know, you'll have a mobile device to where you can do real gaming on the move, or, you know, have a controller or something. So maybe this is just the start. You know, maybe mobile gaming is going to start blowing up a little bit more, but we'll see. They're starting to get real games that actually seem like they have some pretty good content in them.
Yeah. So something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's necessarily the next hot new survival game like Icarus could be, but Undawn is something to keep an eye on. There is their website, as you said. It's undawn.game, which is cool. I like them using the new TLDs. So
and a lot of music. I think noise and music will pop up when you click it, so just be prepared for that if you're somewhere where you don't want noise.
Yes.
They have autoplay on their website.
They do, which I can hear.
All right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it just sits there and plays. All right. Well, people are asking if we were going to be talking about a game called Drake's Odds. This is a multiplayer alien survival game that is being released. Very interesting look to it. I mean, it looks like it's a little bit of it doesn't look like a super serious game, but we've got some trailers and teasers, a couple of video logs that they've done, but we'll see how deeply we go into this. But do you want to start with the trailer?
Yeah,
first, let's start. Kind of give an idea of what we're looking at.
Let's do the teaser, because I think we did show this trailer. That trailer came out almost 2 years ago. So
yeah, we showed one of the trailers, but there's more things that have been released since.
There have. So let me find the. This is the teaser. Yes, this is the new video. This one hasn't been out all that long. So let's take a look at this teaser for Drake's Odd.
Looks like it looks like a nice building system.
So you can be a bird.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second.
You can
actually possess. So you can possess the AI, the alien, because you play as the alien. You're trying to take over the world, right? And so you can possess various AI and control them. So like you can control the bird, you can control the people, as part of trying to do this. And you got various alien senses that you use in the game. You saw the base building in that video. Looked like it was a pretty decent modular base building system.
Yeah.
It's definitely a survival game as far as there's research tracks that you do, and there's vehicles that you can. I assume, I don't know that you make vehicles, but vehicles that you can claim and drive. You saw people being hit by cars in there and them driving around. It looks fun. I mean, it looks interesting. Definitely a casual. Maybe not casual gameplay, but it's a comedy, and I don't know. I don't know what else to expect. They do have some vlogs talking about like the UFO light beam, talking about the fence system. So
you want to show that?
Those are, they're pretty short. So let's go ahead and show those really quick. And
all right, let's take a look at the first one here, the UFO light beam. Oh boy, I can see myself totally flying this thing around. Like it's like Rust all over again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're picking up the car. So typical UFO stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like you've got a big, it's like a crane.
See who's gonna drop it on something. So you can move things around.
There's something in there.
Or is that
it's something. Is it? It's a bird or it's a.
No, it's got legs.
No, it's a person. It's shooting.
It's a person because they got a gun.
Huh.
Perfect.
Oh my god! What is this?
Perfect. There you go. You can drop it on stuff.
Okay, perfect. So we got that. Let's take a look at the fence system while we're at it.
All right.
Okay, modular base building, definitely Unreal Engine.
Yes. I really like that.
Yeah, the little pivoting system. I do like that as
Snapping,
well.
but you can still pivot it accurately.
It's a pivot snap. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that before. That's a tough thing.
I've seen slight variations but they were such drastic pivots. It was just,
wow, look at how that guy was just able to close in that entire structure with no
and
gaps.
it's seamless.
Wow, that in itself makes this game a wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. If it's as simple as it looks like we just saw, that's something that all these other games will adapt. I say that's an industry-changing thing, but it could be, because most games, now you can rotate with A and D, but it just spins in a circle and it pivots from the center of the object, not from where it's attached. So you're pivoting from the center, and if it's a fence, it's spinning it like this, when realistically it should be pivoting from one of the sides that it's connected on, like that or like that. That's a really cool feature.
Well, and plus, throughout the game, I mean, kind of separate from the fence system, but through this game, what you're trying to do, what makes it kind of a survival game, is you got to think you're an alien landing on this planet, and you have no real idea of what the details of the planet are. So part of what you're trying to do this is you're researching, trying to figure out what you can do, learning knowledge, and that's kind of building up your character as well. It looks like a pretty full game. Looks like it'll be entertaining so far. I haven't seen I've only seen maybe 2 players. They show someone looking. I don't know if it's I assume it's multiplayer. It's open world multiplayer survival, but I don't know how many.
It's not on Steam.
I haven't seen that quite yet. No, so I'm not sure. Is this going to be like a co-op, or is this going to be a big open world? I would picture it more of a co-op, because it would just be odd doing this type of a format with a large, like 100 players or 50 players or even 20 players.
Oh, look at this!
But it says multiplayer, so
just pulled this up on their Twitter. Oh, damn it! That's not what I meant to do. I just pulled this up on their Twitter. This is the tree harvesting system. You, instead of using an axe or something, you're using some sort of power ball out of your hand. That's pretty neat looking. So this is one of those games to definitely keep on your radar as kind of a interesting one.
All right, so here I found the numbers of what they're looking at for the number of players. We're still at the stage where it would be impossible to give a definitive answer for the number of players, but they're planning on hosting a minimum of 60 to 70 active players on each of their dedicated official servers. So that'll be interesting to see how the gameplay works in multiplayer. I mean, that seems more like a single player concept. If they can pull it off in multiplayer and have it still be fun, then great. And it's looking to be released Q1 of next year. So, we're still a little ways out, just under, it's almost 3/4 of a year, just under 3/4 of a year away. So, but that will, I'm sure, go by quick. It's going to be launched on PC. They say no platform is currently off the table. So if it really takes off, I'm sure they're going to release it on PlayStation and Xbox and all of that.
Seems like it could definitely fit consoles, that's for sure. Speaking of PlayStation and Xbox, we have an announcement, which I think we've talked about a lot. We've talked about in the past, but we've now got the official trailer for the console version of Rust. Now, obviously, this is nothing new for our audience, right? We've all seen Rust and played Rust in various ways, but this is how they are. This is how they're marketing the game towards the console gamers, which is, like it or hate it, a large group of people and also a very different audience as well. So it's only about a minute. Let's take a quick look at this trailer for Rust on both the PS4 and Xbox One. Yes, I said that correctly. The PS4 and the Xbox One, not the PS5 or the Xbox Series S. Very odd.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, talk about a hype on the trailer there. Nice upbeat soundtrack, showing some gunfights, some explosives, some everything else that is going on. So that is cool. You could see the website there. It's rush.double11. Oh, geez, I can't even type. double11.com/pre-orders. And you can see there. You select your platform, the Xbone. How much is it? Let's see. Oh, bring it right to the Microsoft Store. Okay,
$50.
$50 for that.
$50.
So, God, I hate when they do this 3-day early access. I mean that's not crazy. Oh, you could get access to the beta too. How much is that? That's $60. So that's the cost more. I'll tell you what. Controversial statement, Brian. Get ready for it. I think Rust is a $60 title.
Yeah.
It's got all the features of a $60
since
title.
they have dedicated servers, they put out updates constantly. I think they are, because look at the average player of Rust. They play tons of time in Rust for the people that really play it.
Yeah. So
hey, one thing I was going to mention, I wonder if this is why, remember that HDRP update they're doing for Rust, trying to get the graphics to be so much better. I wonder if they're really pushing on that because they want that for the console. They want it to be better, because you're going to be doing it on big TVs at this point. Fuzzy textures and low resolution really stands out at that point. I'm assuming they're hoping to push it out before then.
Yeah, I would say that's probably part of it. I mean, the game already looks pretty good. I mean, I've never
What about
been
on a console though? And especially since they're only working. I mean, I assume it works on the newer consoles as well.
Not as of right now.
But well, I bet you they're just not optimized for them, because usually they'll have like an X and an S and then the new one to show that's ready for the new consoles. Yeah. So I'm sure it'll work, but I bet you it's just not optimized for them quite yet, and it'll just look like an old console game, not any of the new features.
Very possible. And real quick, let's just take a look at who's currently playing Rust. 70,740 currently playing that. 98,056, and then as your 24, and then 7-day peak 124,813. Of course, that is just on Steam, and we will never get accurate. Well, we'll never get numbers from. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Facebook is pretty good about publishing stats, so they might. They
have stat pages, so that's one thing.
Them. Yeah.
Once they release it on console, we'll pull up that stat page, and I bet you they will show the number of players on the various consoles, because most companies don't do that. FacePunch will.
They absolutely.
Because they show stats for every little detail. If you go to their stat page, they have details for every little thing you can imagine.
Absolutely. So that is Rust. If you want to go pre-order it, you can do so. There'll be a link in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com.
Cool.
A game that was supposed to release a trailer 4 weeks ago, then 3 weeks ago, then last week, that never happened, was the day before. And they have finally released their video. It's way too long for us to play on this show. We've already seen parts of it. It's just a guy driving at the beginning. So we're going to skip past all that nonsense. Let's just look at a couple minutes of gameplay so we can get a bit of a idea of what we're looking at. So this is the day before. We've been waiting a month for a 13-minute gameplay trailer. I mean, it should have been plated in gold at this point, but nevertheless, let's take a look at it. So, kind of gives you a bit of a Division vibe, of course, as we've talked about in the past.
Visually, it looks like a very, very highly detailed map. The animations seem very smooth. One thing I like is you could tell that they didn't touch up or work on any of this, because his aim is off at times. A lot of times they'll say, "Oh, this is a gameplay video," but you look like the mouse can moves perfectly, and the gunshots are always perfect. This one you can actually tell they're just running around and playing.
So I mean that doesn't look too crazy. I like the grungy look of it. Using some barricades here to I don't know if it's to I'm not sure how the heat map system works in this game. You can see and hear the shooting from what appears to be another NPC. Here's a zombie.
I wasn't sure if that was another player. I'm not sure on this one of the multiplayer aspect of it, but there's a guy kind of running around like he's doing his own thing. It's not like this person's following them really closely to move an objective forward, so I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah, PH is saying there's one player, so that's the kind of the co-op. They're doing a multiplayer right now. One thing I found odd is like, why is there power in some? There's like power in some of the buildings, not this one in particular, but there's some that are like fully lit up, like a gas station. Oh, maybe he's gonna turn it on.
There we go. Yeah, that's how power works. Just put two little wires together.
Yeah, and now I got cold drinks. But yeah, it looks like a pretty straight up, great resolution survival game. I think it'll be fun. I mean, it looks like it'll be fun, but a lot of it'll come down to what is the playability as far as quests, or like what's your goal? Because I mean, you could run around and loot, and it's going to be like any of the other ones. I think people are kind of evolving to, especially with Valheim coming out, maybe wanting a little bit more of a guided survival game, to where it's just not let's build a base and run around and do the same thing, or loot and shoot the whole time. And PH's point, yeah, there are missions, and I think that that's much better way to go, and not just doing the big open world, because that doesn't work on console. And a lot of these places, they want to sell on console.
A little 10mm socket sound going on there.
I wonder how big the one thing I'm kind of curious of is how big is the world?
No idea.
Because I mean, you've seen kind of clips of various places.
All right, so more driving.
But I've seen a lot of clips from this place.
All right, so here we go. Some sort of field system out here. You can see a barn. You can see how the tall wheat or grass kind of
and it's actually reactive, which is pretty cool. Like you run through
that is
it,
cool.
You can see, which is really nice, because if you have someone crouching and trying to sneak up on you on a field, you can see the branches moving around that you don't see in a lot of other games.
Yeah. So this is a little horse stall with a dead horse. Some hay bales. Let's see, some sort of farmhouse, a tractor. Kind of, honest to God, kind of reminds me of like early DayZ mod stuff. Oh, look. Wow. Oh, did you see that? Hit the tire swing. It actually moved. That's cool. So, let's see. Let's skip forward a little bit. So there's some sort of security system going off inside this house that they've broken into. That obviously is triggering the zombies who are now trying to beat down the door.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it looks really good visually.
This is gameplay. This is not.
This is actual gameplay.
Yeah, this is not. This definitely does not appear to be any sort of really well rehearsed. I mean, I'm sure they recorded it a time or two, but kind of a little bit of a Left 4 Dead vibe too, with these different kinds of zombies. They make different noises.
Variations.
The screamer,
the
spitter, that whole thing. So that's kind of a neat feature. This guy's about to get hit. No, maybe not. So now we're these mannequins everywhere make it a little creepy.
I kind of get the feeling it's going to be similar to a lot of console games where you're kind of going through a story, or I bet it feels like it's a game you could beat. You'll actually get to the end.
Donnie points out
that's the feeling I get.
That the interior looks great. The game is very polished. It definitely has that look. You can even tell by you look at this. Oh, actually, here come the La Policia.
Because some bad dudes, or I assume bad dudes.
Well, I mean, the cops aren't the bad dudes, but I assume it's
the
homeowners and the police. So you've now broken into the house, and now the...
Oh, yeah, because the alarm went off.
Yeah, so the authorities are there. And somehow... They're very bad. They're very non-observant police officers, obviously. Two armed men running the field right next door.
See that? He has a camcorder.
I did see that. I was trying to break... They're trying to break into this thing. This little fallout shelter-looking thing. So this would be the they've even got the freaking crier from Left 4 Dead, the girl that's always crying. Damn. Wow. Well, Brian, this looks like a real this is AAA, my friend. We don't see AAA in this genre.
I think that's what we were nervous of showing the very first trailers is this totally a scripted cutscene it looks like what we were seeing before was actual gameplay, that they haven't been trying to do incredibly highly scripted gameplay, which is good. I would rather see something that's real like this, where you're seeing what you'll actually play in the game. And I feel like after watching that video, I feel like we have a pretty good representation of that.
I would tend to agree with that, absolutely. So, well, we're at an hour and 6 minutes, and I believe we have covered all of our notes.
Yes.
So,
one thing I was going to mention. There's one thing I was going to mention.
Yeah.
There's kind of closer of a release date on Arc 2.
Okay.
They're coming. It's going to be coming out next year. So, because we weren't sure, but they are going to debut it on Xbox Series X and S and PC. So it will not release initially on PlayStation. It will be on either PC or Xbox, which it makes me think maybe it will be in the Game Pass.
Same day release. That would be pretty hot.
I have a feeling. Yeah. So
that would be
not a lot of information, but I just saw something where they actually gave a little bit more of a definitive date. I thought I would bring that down to you.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for everybody hanging out on the new format. Brian, what about
and we'll be tweaking it and changing it as well. I mean, as far as this was when we wanted to cover a lot of the upcoming games, because there's just a lot of games that the survival genre seems like it's picking up again and blowing up a little bit. And I think that's great. So we'll see. So, all right. Well, if you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Parler or Gab, or you can go to my blog, biteoftech.com. But of course, if you want to go to our website, just go to infectionpodcast.com. Go check out the Discord link, and that way you can chat with us. You can give us input on what you think about the new format. If you think that of course, give suggestions. We're always open for suggestions. If there's things you think we could do better, do differently, just let us know, and we'll take that into consideration. If you want to get notified before our next show, and especially let us know if you like the hour format, if that seems to make more sense. Join our Steam group. You get a notification before the live show if you happen to have Steam open. If you want to watch the video forms of this, just check out our Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, or DLive links. If you want to check out the pre and post shows that we have done, you can do that through the Podcast Extras channel. And then we also have our ways that you can listen to the audio only forms. Now, that's not live, but you can listen after the fact on the various links through. We've got all kinds of mobile apps, desktop apps, everything else you can imagine if you want to listen. And then if you are listening, just make sure you jump into our show notes and follow along. So like this one, we had a lot of videos in there. If you're listening to it, you'll be missing a lot of the cool details that we're showing. Jump into the show notes. We have links for each of these videos that you can watch as you go through. If you want to support us, you just go to infectionpodcast.com/support, or the support tab in the menu, or you can go to amazon.infectionpodcast.com, humble.infectionpodcast.com, Subscribestar. We have a link on there on the website for that, or you can go on Prime Gaming when we're streaming on Twitch. So,
yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, Brian, thank you as always for all of the work ahead of the show, and we're looking forward to having a more concise, less show with less, frankly, nonsense in it, and just having more of conversations that we're actually interested in. We've had probably more chat interaction in an hour than we do on most 2-hour shows, because the stuff just tends to be a little bit more substantive than normal. So, and again, if you've got any feedback on the format, or this is going to be really important now that we're going to have to be prioritizing, what we cover and what we don't.
What we discuss.
Yeah. So if you want something heard on the show, there's something that we're not missing, or something that we are missing that we need to be talking about, just send us a message on Discord, or get in touch with us via the website. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do so. Even leaving a comment on YouTube, I check those pretty regularly. So that is that. All right, Brian, well, thank you as always. We'll see you next Tuesday again, same time, same place, just a little bit shorter. All right.
Very good. Thank you.
My name, as always, is Nick Craig. You can, of course, check out my illustrious website at nickcraig.com. There'll be links to my new endeavor as we get rolling with that. If you missed any portion of this show, lots of videos. You can find links to all of that stuff on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.